I'm Joanna Small, the Public Information Officer for the Wheat Ridge Police Department. It's Friday, July 7th, and this is your WRPD Video Week in Review. Here's a summary of some of the most notable incidents your Wheat Ridge patrol officers responded to over this past week. Overnight, an alarm at a business in the 3400 block of Wadsworth alerted to a burglary that had just occurred. Entry was believed to have been made when a suspect or suspects used a crowbar to pry the front door open. The only items that appeared to have been taken upon an initial inspection were hair clippers, but an inventory of what is there was to be conducted sometime today. Overnight on July 5th, observant officers recognized an individual in the area of West 49th and Kipling known to have a felony warrant for his arrest. He was contacted by officers and found to be in possession of fentanyl and methamphetamine, as well as something he referred to as fake meth, which was really just sugar he was selling to people who believed it was actual meth. He is now facing possession with intent to distribute, possession of a controlled substance, drug paraphernalia, and protection order violation charges. He was also jailed on his warrant. Also on July 5th, officers were called to one of the motels around the I-70 Kipling area for reports of a burglary in progress in which the suspect broke out the window of a room and was passed out on the bed. When officers arrived, they saw the suspect was in possession of several firearms. When he woke up, officers discovered the guns were not real. They were BB guns and that someone else had broken into that room. The suspect was still cited for trespassing and was jailed on outstanding warrants. On July 4th, the suspected drunk driver rear-ended a car in the 4600 block of Ward Road, totaling both cars. The driver of the causing vehicle was released at the hospital but issued a summons for DUI. Again, on July 4th, officers were dispatched to a burglary at the Richard Hart Estate, which is a building that's owned by the city of Wheat Ridge. A man was contacted nearby and initially could not be tied to the crime, but further investigation revealed he was responsible for the burglary and that he had also stolen some keys to other Parks buildings in the city. He is now facing burglary charges. On July 2nd, officers were investigating another suspicious vehicle when they found a Nissan Altima running with a sheet covering the window at the TA truck stop. The vehicle was not reported as stolen, but it was associated with several shoplifts and other crimes in the area, with the driver also potentially having a felony warrant for his arrest. There were two occupants, both passed out in the car, as well as drugs and a handgun in plain view. As officers were formulating a safe plan to take those two people into custody, the driver woke up and sped off at a high rate of speed. The attempt to relocate the vehicle is ongoing. Also on July 2nd, officers were attempting to contact a suspect called into dispatch as an unwanted party in the 4800 block of Kipling when they noticed he was trying to hide drug paraphernalia. When officers tried to place him into custody, he fled. When they caught up to him in the foot pursuit, he swung a skateboard at an officer, struck an officer in the jaw with his elbow, and caused a serious injury to another officer's hand. He was eventually placed into handcuffs and is now facing second-degree assault on a peace officer and resisting arrest charges. On July 1st, officers responded to the 10,000 block of West 27th Avenue for a verified alarm. Upon arrival, they observed a broken window and immediately cleared that business, finding no one inside. But surveillance footage did show three suspects believed to be juveniles throw a rock through the window, then enter the business and steal tobacco-specific items. The teens then fled east into Crown Hill Park, and despite a metro area BOLO or be on the lookout being issued to surrounding agencies, they were not located at that time. Also on July 1st, information was received from a previous shift of officers that a large amount of fentanyl was being sold out of a room at one of our motels in the I-70 Kipling area. Officers conducted extensive surveillance of the room and discovered one of the registered parties had a nationwide arrest warrant for distribution. He was contacted and taken into custody on his warrant, as well as cited for being in possession of fentanyl. The investigation into the other people associated with that room is ongoing. On June 30th, officers received a disturbance call at the Hacienda, Colorado in the 3200 block of Youngfield Street. They learned 40 to 50 protesters with an organization called Coalition to Abolish the Fur Trade had previously been inside the restaurant using a bullhorn, breaking plates, and screaming at patrons. Multiple restaurant customers got into altercations with the protesters, but all of them were gone when officers arrived on the scene. We also told you about several significant incidents as standalone posts on our various social media pages earlier this week. Last Sunday, a driver with a canceled license ran a red light northbound on Kipling and T-boned another vehicle turning onto I-70 eastbound. A 9-year-old child inside the causing vehicle was not wearing a seatbelt and sustained a broken leg in that crash. The driver was cited for a handful of violations as a result. Also over last weekend, a proactive WRPD patrol officer contacted 2 people in one of our motel parking lots who were sitting inside a vehicle that had previously eluded our officers. Initially, the passenger left the scene on foot and the driver was taken into custody for that eluding. But investigation led to the identity of the passenger, who had warrants for his arrest and was likely selling narcotics. He was contacted at the motel and taken into custody with 20 grams of methamphetamine, 150 fentanyl pills, cocaine, and items consistent with drug sales and distribution. Then on Wednesday night, officers conducted a special operation focusing on Wheat Ridge suspects with high bond warrants for crimes such as theft, DUI, and motor vehicle theft. They arrested 3 people on 5 warrants, which totaled more than $100,000 in bonds. Also, the Wheat Ridge Police Department is very proud to partner with the West Metro Drug Task Force. Information was just released to the public yesterday that a 9-month-long investigation has led to the largest bust in task force history, resulting in the indictment of 16 suspects on 116 felony charges. The operation has so far resulted in the seizure of 400 pounds of meth, 325,000 pills containing fentanyl, and 3 kilograms of cocaine, all with a street value of more than $5 million. 17 firearms were also seized, many of which had been reported stolen. In between your calls for service, we proactively contacted people for crimes like trespassing and jaywalking, which often leads to arrests for warrants, drugs, and/or drug paraphernalia. We also ramped up patrols in areas where we know dangerous driving is an issue, and we recovered 4 stolen vehicles this past week. We also responded to approximately 100 fireworks-related calls and 65 on the 4th of July alone. These were extremely challenging, as most of the time there was no exact address, so we issued several warnings and 1 citation. That's all for now. We'll see you next time. And remember, if you need us, we're always just minutes away.